interrupting, and I am always interrupting your thoughts and your ideas and getting you to think about different things, one of which is in relationships. So today, I'm going to break down some thoughts for you on men and boys. They seem like they're age-related conversations, but in fact, men can actually be found in young guys, and boys can often be seen in older men. So age and maturity are not the same thing. Let's first start there, right? So the next thing is, I want to break it down for you this way, is that there are actually 3 different types of men and boys dynamics that I want to talk to you about. Actually, four different types of men and boys dynamics that I want to talk to you about today. So the first of which, though, is before I get there, I want to explain to you, when I say the word men, what do I mean? So men are consistent. Men know what they want, what they desire, and they go for it. Men take initiative in their world. They take things on before anybody asks them to. They're just driven men. Now, when we talk about boys are emotionally not quite evolved, right? Which means that they're inconsistent. They're all over the place. Some days they're great, some days they're not, some days they're on there, sometimes they're not, right? Boys have very little follow through. It takes a lot to be pushed to accomplish something. They have commitment issues. And when I say commitment issues, I don't just mean in relationships. I'm going to explain that to you in a moment. I mean commitment issues. They don't commit to things like careers, finances, responsibilities. They're boys. They're still young in their thinking, right? So there's men, and then there's boys. Now, so here's where this becomes relationship advice, because the male gender, I'm going to say that, shows up in relationships, and they also show up in their work and their personal lives. So there's like these 2 different lives that guys balance, right? There's who I am in my work life and my personal life, and then there's who I am in my relationship. So here's the thing. You can be a man in your work and personal life, but be a boy in your relationship. Or you could be a boy in your work and personal life and actually be a man in your relationship. Or you could just be a boy overall in all of it, right? A boy in your personal and your work life, a boy in your relationships. But what women want, and what high value, independent women who are authentic and real and looking for someone to actually share their lives with and have blended families or connection and relationships that last and that are adult-oriented relationships. They want men who are men at work in their personal lives and men in relationships. So if you break that all down, the first one, that first category, right? Let's start with boys and boys. Okay, well, so, I mean, like, there's not much to say, right? They're boys. They're boys. So, like, they're just like those guys that you work with that, like, they don't really do anything. Maybe sometimes they, like, let their ego get in the way of stuff, or maybe they rely on other people to accomplish their goals, or they just kind of get by on their looks or their charm or whatever. They're boys, right? They're not great leaders. They're not people who take initiative. As friends, they're kind of flaky. They're not really consistent. They don't always show up. They're boys. And when they get to their relationships, I mean, they're just total boys, right? Like, they're just looking for girls to take care of them, or a woman to take care of them, or for someone to take the reins while they sit back and continue to be boys. So boys and boys, right? Boys in their work life, personal life, boys in their relationships. Then we got the other dynamic. And this, I think, is probably the most common. which is men in your work and your personal lives, which means you got your shit together. You know your finances, you're good at your job, you are driven, you are purposeful, you are consistent, you show up, you never are, you never don't accomplish something that you are responsible for. You take responsibility serious, which means you also take your finances seriously because you're responsible in your personal life, in your finances, with your own budget, with your own bills, with your children. You're responsible. And you're a man in those worlds. You're a man. And women see that and they're drawn to it. But then you're a boy in relationships. You're cool with just situationships forever. You want to, you're okay with the inconsistency of communicating sometimes, not communicating other times. Like, you're a boy, you don't take initiative, right? Maybe the woman is the one who plans the dates and the activities, and you just don't take initiative. You're not driven, you're not pushed. And now I will say, as a caveat, it's very likely that some of that boy tendency is because maybe you're with the wrong women, which also, that's a boy move, because men have a better picker than boys do. Let's be honest. Picker, not pecker, I said. Picker, meaning just picking women, okay? And then there's and this is a rare one. I don't think I've ever met anybody like this, but there must be someone out there who's probably like a kind of boyish in their work and their personal lives. Like, they're just not an initiative guy. They're not a consistent person. Maybe when it comes to those things, they're not really driven, whatever it is. But they're men in their relationships because maybe they're passionate and they're very driven and they're compelled by the women that they care about. And I'm going to say this is a totally heteronormative conversation because that is all I know. So not that there aren't other types of relationships, but I am hetero. I know and exist in hetero. The people that I engage with and process and get all this information from in my learning, it's all connected to that, right? So that's my only wheelhouse, just as a caveat, right? But so here is what women want, though. What women want and crave, and the men who are able to give them what they're craving and need, is when you're a man in your work and your personal life. That means you do the shit that you're supposed to do without anybody telling you or needing to walk you through it, right? You're not one of those men who has to have your significant other tell you to be responsible with life. You got that. It's just naturally what you do. You plan things, you prepare, you organize, you follow through, right? Like, all of it. And you're that as a parent, if you're a dad. You're that as a friend. Consistent, solid, right? But then you're also a man in your relationships. That means you're consistent. You take initiative in the relationship to make sure that woman feels cared for and adored and seen and valued for everything that she is. You know when to be strong and take on things so that she can be in her feminine and her ability to let go, particularly when we're talking about independent women. That's what they want. They want a break. They work so goddamn hard for everybody else all the time. When they are with their man, they want to feel like a fucking queen who is just being pampered and taken care of, but also with a partner. And you can only partner as a woman who's independent and strong with a man who's a man in his work life, in his personal life, and he knows how to be a man in a relationship. So that's my breakdown of men and boys. Stay tuned and subscribe to my blog, www.browngirlinterrupting.com, for more on my take on relationships, on advice for men and women, and also for some upcoming, and make sure you subscribe because I am going to be writing about Boys to Men very soon. So you'll get a little bit more in depth on this theory. But look, share your comments. Do you think I have it right? Am I off? I always like a good conversation and some engagement. So definitely share your thoughts and follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and all the other spots. Make sure you subscribe to the blog. And if you haven't done it yet, go down there, click on the subscribe link and the little notification bell so you get my updated YouTube videos as they come out. There are going to be more. And like if you liked this. Peace out. See you on the flip side.